back to the Information Paradise podcast, episode number 32. Today, I'm very happy to welcome Mr. Peter Koch. Please do introduce yourself, Peter.
Well, I'm Peter. I'm 74 years old. I'm from Amsterdam. I have a son of 12 years old, and I consider myself to be at the second tier in turquoise. And it's for most people, it sounds arrogant, but I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, nice. 74. Damn. Didn't know that.
What?
74. You're 74 years old?
No, 47.
Oh, you said 74.
Oh, no, 47.
All right.
Yeah.
So today, what we're going to do is we're going to go from beige all the way to turquoise. And we're just going to talk about the stages.
Yeah,
we're going to talk about, the transitions, what blocks people from rising. So let's begin at beige. Let's first actually give an introduction. I'd like to ask you, Peter, what is spiral dynamics? What are we talking about?
Spiral dynamics is a very short consciousness model, separated in several colors on the first tier and several colors on the second tier, and we're gonna talk about those colors and those tiers.
Yeah, so this book, by the way, will be in the description. Spiral dynamics book. Yeah. You see beige, purple, red, blue, orange, green, da 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 da. That's what we're going to be talking about today. I really recommend this book. Okay, so yeah, it's basically a model for the evolution of psychological development in individuals, groups. So it's fascinating to learn. So let's begin at beige. The way I describe beige is they're not thinking very long term at all. We think about babies, think about homeless people, just trying to get to the next day.
Yeah, it's beige is also compared to this time we're in the last 2 years. It's also instinctively surviving the game, you know.
Yeah,
that's how I consider it.
Whenever I think of beige, I usually think of ancestors in the past trying to survive, especially when they're alone.
Yeah.
And I make a distinction between beige and purple, which is the next stage up. I make a distinction between these two as being the purple people are pretty much just beige people who have got into a group.
In my opinion, is the first tribal color. It's a really animistic color. Everything is living, and everything is conscious. And for me, purple is like that. And also now again, the turquoise color is also really animistic. That the consciousness, it feels different to live, you know. It feels more that you live, and it's really an holistic color, and you feel connected to everything and everybody.
I'd like to share some experiences from my life of beige. So a beige experience for me was I was in the forest one time, and I was alone in the forest, and I was aware of some other people, random people walking through the forest, and I got a little scared. Okay, so that was kind of like a beige feeling. I was like, oh, you know, What's happening to my beige there?
Yeah.
And then a purple experience I like to share is when I was about 15 and 16. I was part of a friend group who would always smoke marijuana, not recommending it, in the
Yeah.
forest at night. Okay, with lots of music and a fire. And so that combination really creates quite a purple experience.
The only purple experience I got is eating mushrooms.
Ah, yes, yeah. Yeah, that'll do it. So yeah, we talked about tribalism and you have sort of rituals and think about for purple back in the olden days where you'd have rituals and witchcraft and all this good stuff. What's next is red.
Red.
Yeah.
The red Ferrari.
A red Ferrari.
I think you can tell us more about the red Ferrari thing.
I actually don't know what you're talking about.
The power, the money,
Yeah.
like surviving only for yourself and surviving the game at the expense of the other.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's like that.
Red is the might is right thing.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. The crime
Without
boss.
caring for the environment or the other. Yeah.
Oh no, yeah. Destroy the environment just so I can put some food on the table, which is understandable, but at that level of psychological development, that's kind of the best they can do. Have to steal from people, hurt people, and another characteristic I always say is you've got the purple tribe, and at some point, one member of that tribe realizes that they can be the most powerful person in that tribe, and then they kind of get all the resources for themselves, and without care for anyone else. Yeah, so personal power, and it differs from orange because it hasn't gone through blue yet, which tells us that it gives us the values of community, safety, being a good person. So this is like the millionaire, the go-getter before they've gone through church, in a sense. And so you get criminals, you get all these people. How does the red person evolve upwards into blue?
Well, how to control in a positive way the red is by laws and law and order, you know?
Yeah.
That's the only way to control them and maybe put something above him, like a religion, that keeps him controlled more.
Yeah. We often hear of criminals being saved by God, being saved by religion. Religion helps a lot of criminals get out of the criminal space.
Yeah.
Let's move from red to blue. So blue. Blue, law and order, like you said.
The Smurfs also.
The Smurfs?
Yeah.
Okay.
The Smurfs, the blue characteristics with white heads.
Right. I guess they're quite family friendly. Another characteristic is family.
Yeah.
And
it's a wee me.
Yeah, it was a wee me. Yes. Well, that's a good point as well. So the spiral dynamic stages, they go from focusing on me to focusing on others, focusing on me, focusing on
Yeah.
others. Maybe.
Yeah, it's like a pendulum,
Yeah.
the way it swings from me to we and from we to me.
And so this understanding that this gives us really helps us move through the world where things are way more clear. So satisfying, much less confusion.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
let's swing from blue to orange.
Yes. Let's talk about the transition from blue to orange. In my life, it's been great. I'm safe. I've achieved safety in my life. I'm in a nice blue zone. I've just come out of school and everything's toasty. But you know what? I feel bored. I feel like I'm stagnant. And I want to break away from the we. I want to break away from this tribe that I'm in, kind of in a way, sort of rise up a bit. Yeah, focus on myself a bit more. So orange, drive. You know, I want to make money. I've gone through blue, so I'm actually making money now and being a force in the world as myself with rules to back it up, the social know-how. So that's another thing. Is like in red, we didn't have much social. We didn't care about society much at all, and so that causes us to be horrible people in a way. But then once we've gone through blue and we've gone through societal conditioning, then if we choose to move up, we can do so and perhaps do amazing things for the world.
Yeah, it is really an orange world, I presume.
Yeah, I feel that. Yeah, blue, orange, green for sure.
Yeah. Blue, orange, green. Yeah, but mostly orange, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. Perhaps orange and sort of early orange. I don't know. It's so different. It's interesting. Certainly in the Industrial Revolution, I think orange was the sort of newest zone really coming in. I don't know.
Well, we have to deal with it as a human. So, yeah, even if you're second tier, you have to deal with first tier when
That's
it's
right.
second
Yeah.
tier, you know. So,
Yeah. Right.
how do you keep yourself grounded in that society, you know?
Yeah. Another thing about orange. Let's do some quick memes of orange. Makeup, bling and jewelry, fast cars, big rich stuff. Excess, pleasure, getting massages all week. All this good stuff.
When it's not fulfilling anymore, like the
Yes.
material stuff.
Yes,
And,
yes.
yeah, I think we're also in the middle of that now, you know? Like, what's the purpose of it all? And when you die, people get confronted at the moment with the meaning of life, that you can also die, you know? The corner. And it's the first time that people experience that. And I have experienced it 17 years ago, because when it goes good, then you can live. And when it goes bad, then these are the last 2 months of your life, you know, of this life.
Wow.
Yeah. And they're of yellow, you know. And I think that's why people are yeah, kind of like shook up, you know?
Yes, things are changing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Fortunately,
Yeah.
things are changing. We're going upwards. Green. Some words to describe green: communal, socialistic, relativistic, progressive,
Woke.
eco-conscious, woke. Great
Yeah.
word. Woke, empathetic, relationship orientated, and context aware. Which I'd say context aware. I'd say that's a bit more to the edge of green and yellow. I think that's quite a high level thing.
Yeah.
I would characterize early green as the stereotypical pink-haired protester, whatever they're protesting about. And often, when they're arguing, context is far away. They're not thinking about context. Yeah, I'd say that's at the later stage.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't have much to add to that because I left green some years ago, so it's
Yeah.
it's in the back of my head, you know.
Speaking about sort of leaving stages, when I was 16, I was learning about all this, and I really knew we'll get onto turquoise later, but I was having some really turquoise experiences, and I knew that I could skip all the stages and just live like Ramana Maharshi, go off and live as a yogi, pretty much. And I'm very serious about that. But you can see I've chosen differently, and I'm going through the stages for some reason.
And what do you experience as turquoise?
Okay, well we'll get onto it, but the word I are no longer meaning this body and mind.
Yeah.
So, and instead meaning all experience, or rather the consciousness of experience plus experience. We'll get onto it.
The first experience I got of turquoise is 17 years ago when I had my first enlightenment aha-erlebnis, where I experienced the wholeness and the we-ness and the all is oneness, you know.
Yes.
And that's really turquoise to me, because turquoise is the first color where you can experience that. The yellow color is more the path towards turquoise, but in turquoise it's really the experience of the we and the wholeness of the universe. Do you agree with that?
I do indeed. Holistic, universal.
Yeah.
So we were on green. What are the characteristics of green? Eco-friendly. This is kind of where we're moving from orange. It's industrial. Let's go into a nice place where some people just want to sit around and smoke weed in the forest and with lots of music.
You know, the green consciousness shift we've had, like last year, we've had the yellow consciousness shift, but the green consciousness shift we've had in the 60s of the last century. So you were
Yes.
born in 2000, right? And
2000.
this was 1960 and 97,
Yeah.
like around that time. And
Yes.
when the hippies came up, and we've had the Vietnam War, and
Yes. Wow.
so around that was the first time that people a little bit woke up, in my opinion, because in a very friendly way, like the hippies were, and nowadays it is more hardcore. It's more that people become conscious of there is a white thing, but there's also a black thing, you know? And I think that's also very important for this shift now to happen, that people also see that there is a dark thing, you know, and that that it's not all is love, you know, and no more fluffy duffy.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah, a lot of orange and green. Orange, I'm pretty sure a lot of times people in orange, they embrace their dark side, their killer instincts. I think in green, sometimes you can see people, especially early green, they kind of repress it or ignore it or
yeah, repressed, yeah. Like everybody's doing it, but not
yes.
me, you know.
Yeah, not me.
Everybody
Yeah,
was born, but not me.
spiritual. Exactly. Yeah.
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 Since that yellow consciousness came over the world, um, it is really easy for people who get affected with the yellow consciousness to see the lie of it all, you know, the illusion. And you can see right through it.
I'd say the reason for that is because yellow is inherently self-reflective, and it means that we can be aware of our emotions and how they're perhaps being manipulated.
Yeah. I always describe the yellow pot between green and turquoise as the shaky jungle pot, you know, the shaky jungle bridge between green
Oh
and yellow. It's really an
yeah.
individual pot, and it's really, shaky, you know.
Yeah. No, green is great. But there are limitations of green, and so we have to evolve. What are the limitations of green?
Yeah, you discover green is like a wee meme on the last on first year, and turquoise is the first wee meme on the second year. So, but the paradigm is totally different on in turquoise, and
Yes.
you know, the green meme, they are really reactive still, reactive
Yes.
to the previous colors. And in turquoise, you can let everything be.
So yeah, the limitations of green is that we still got our ego running, and like Peter said, we're reactive to everything. We see problems everywhere, problem. We actually get emotionally reactive to it. But at some point, we yearn for true peace, and that means we have to go across the rickety jungle bridge by ourselves from tier 2 or tier 1 to tier 2. I have to cross this bridge, and that can be very difficult and lonely. Say some words about yellow. These words are quick words like I gave for green. Integral, post-rational, systems thinking, perspectival, is really deep, self-reflective, so really quite intelligent.
They also say about yellow people that they are the wizards of the spiral.
The rich, yeah.
No, the wizard.
Richest.
Wizard.
Oh. Okay, well, I agree with richest.
No, wizards. The yellow wizards of the spiral, because they have such a widened perspective, you know, paradigm. Totally different than before. And I experienced that also with friends of me. But the thing to overcome that is that on the second tier you can transcend and include the other layers below.
Yes.
Which are something somewhere else on the spiral, you know.
By the way, for the audience, spiral dynamics is pretty much a yellow concept.
Yeah. Because Clare Graves was yellow, right?
Probably, dominated.
Don Beck was orange, I got told, but Clare Graves was a yellow guy in his consciousness.
And let's, so I said that I think that yellow could perhaps be the richest of the spiral. Now let me explain this.
Yeah.
The yellow people, they understand humanity, most of humanity, extraordinarily well. And so they even understand orange because they've gone through it, and which means that they have all that intelligence. And if that hadn't clicked, then yeah.
Yeah.
Whoever knows the most.
Yeah, I agree. But the difference between yellow and turquoise for me is that the turquoise is more heading again from a yellow perspective to a we meme. So more caring about the environment and about the other person, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, so yellow, I'd say, I mean, turquoise can be absolutely poor as anything, but they can be happy, you know, so, yeah.
What I experience really on the second tier is a total shift in paradigm, which you cannot intellectually understand. You really can understand it only without thinking. It's above the head. It's about intelligence, and yeah, I think that's the great difference between first and second tier is transcending the head, the intellectual, and experiencing more the intelligence of the second tier, and it's beyond your brains, and it's really experiencing the consciousness all the way, the being, you know.
Yeah. So the main difference between green and yellow is the it's all about ego. Basically, at the end of green, the limitation is my ego is getting in the way. Because even though I'm saying I'm spiritual, I'm saying I'm a hippie, I still get fearful, I still get whatever. And in yellow, we turn back on ourselves and we look and we learn. We're constantly learning. And then I think turquoise is where the application of the information is really done. And
yeah, your ego, how I experienced it, your ego dissolves into the being. And that feels good, you know.
yes.
Yeah.
So let's move now on to turquoise. So, okay. Turquoise. I'll give some words. Holistic, spiritual, mystical, hyper-intuitive,
Being.
being, universal compassion.
Yeah.
There we go.
And also like giving. It's it feels better to give than to take.
Yeah, so throughout yellow, we're becoming aware of our mind and how all that goes on. And in turquoise, we basically notice that part of the mind is the ego. I'm constantly thinking me, and blah, 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 all this story. But then we figure out, or we see that I am that which is aware of the mind activity, which includes the ego. And so I delve into the awareness. What's the nature of consciousness? That I am. I
it's
must
really
be.
an absence. I got the feeling a few months ago. It's really the absence of the monkey mind, you know, the ego, and it just disappears. It dissolves after a while when you're in turquoise, and that's also when I got the feeling I landed in turquoise and I got rid of the yellow thing, you know, mostly. Yellow was really fighting for your right on the second tier. And also in discussions with very orange people or very green people, which are not open-minded for another tier, you know. And I learned to stand firm in that, and I also learned to be relentless if needed, you know.
So turquoise. I mean, how do people get to turquoise? They have to go through all these stages.
How I experienced it. Firstly, I went 1.5 years going through yellow, was really individual. And since half a year, I experienced that I'm more outgoing, more into we. And yeah, that's how I experience it just by in my consciousness, you know. And I'm getting a little less harsh in my being, like protecting like the feeling that I need to protect myself, you know, and watch my back. You know? From the first year, you have a lot of attacks from yeah, like no, and like the fear, their fear, you know, and you think differently, but yeah, yeah, I get through it. I got the feeling, yeah, after 1.5 years, I left it behind for my feeling, you know.
Yeah, we should talk about fear. So, practically speaking, um, I said before about how in yellow we become aware of the mind and how our own mind works, and we become aware of something called the ego, which is which can be experienced as my story, the story of me. And
Yeah,
I
your
say
personality.
the personality, story, and
Yeah,
all the memories. It's attached to me, this thing we call me. I'm the body. But what we can practically realize through meditation and such is that I am that which is aware of the mind and all the story, and this is deeper than the story because this awareness that is on right now can be without the story having to be there. So it's actually before the story of
yeah.
me. So
You have to become conscious of your unconsciousness. Do you
sure,
understand what I say? It's really getting out of the matrix is really becoming conscious of your unconscious behavior, and that's how
yeah,
I read it. Was described by somebody which I really yeah could feel, you know, and then you break the whole fear thing and your whole family story and you still see them, can still see them, but you are conscious that you're acting. You stop acting unconscious.
yeah.
Yeah,
We've pretty much gone to the end there. And so the word enlightenment basically, in my view, means transcending the ego, which means becoming aware of the ego and knowing oneself as the awareness. We haven't talked about the word I yet. Let's talk about the word I.
the word I.
The word I, yes. I.
Well, the word I does not exist anymore in my life. As I experience it, it's more a wholeness, a we, a consciousness, a being, and yeah. When you reach second tier, you can agree that to me. I know for sure.
Yeah, so when we say I and me, we say it in passing in the same way that we look left and right at the road. We can still say these words and use the ego as a tool, but in the background, there is a knowledge that there is nothing we are not. That, yeah, we are the universe, being a
Yeah,
human being.
yeah. How I got it taught by a friend of me when I said about the other, or I talked about the other. He said to me, "There is no other."
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
that
Yes,
one is deep, huh?
that's a deep, beautiful, loving thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. Yeah, you know that I'm talking to you. Who is you? You know, it's just a friendly talk with myself, in a way.
It's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting because some people believe that the entirety of experience is just in one mind, or like their mind. That's solipsism. Oh man, we have to talk about, is consciousness created in the brain or what? I've got some videos on this channel about that.
I don't experience it. When I was in first year, I experienced it as one big mind. But now I am at second year. I experience it as one consciousness, one being, not a mind anymore. Mind for me, to me, is like the thinking mind, you know. And
Yeah.
and the being mind is different. It's less hectic.
So within experience, we all have mind activity, or at least most of us have mind activity.
Yeah.
But we are aware of it somehow. And so
what I can recommend to everybody is going from your head, mind, how I experience it, to your belly, mind. It is also said that in your belly there's another mind, and it's far more relaxed there, and much more safe there. And yeah.
What are some conclusions that the viewers can take from this? I've got one. No stage is better or worse than another, because you're just going through. You're moving forward. You are where you need to be.
Yeah, and remember that on a second tier, maybe it's a really a first tier thing. On the second tier, all the competition has gone because there is no other, you know?
Yeah. The self equals other realization is a super realization.
But the last thing I can resume to say is that it's really worth it to grow further to second tier, because on the second tier, your paradigm is totally out of mind, and that's good. So work through it, I would say.
What would the benefits for the world be, for our species, if more people learned about organics and applied the information?
Becoming aware.
Yeah.
And
less fear.
Yeah, becoming aware, and especially no, it's not dependent on what tier. It's really about becoming aware of, and start with that, you know.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Peter. It's been a great conversation.
Yeah, David, it was nice. And my English went better during the conversation. So
yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I hope people have got some value out of that. If you have any questions for either me or Peter, then do leave them down in the comments below and subscribe. Thank you very much, Peter, and thank you, audience. Goodbye.